but the end result was creating something that was hospitality specific, that allowed restaurant owners, bar owners, people in that industry to have a platform that was built just for them. So instead of, having, like, if you're using tools like WordPress or Squarespace or, any of these kinds of general purpose tools, they're fantastic tools. Wix and all of those are amazing. They're built great and they're really well done, but they're not built specifically for bars and restaurants.
This episode made possible by Restaurant Systems Pro. With excitement, allow me to introduce to you today's guest, CTO and founder of DashTrack, Jordan Hudgens. My man, Jordan, are you feeling unstoppable today?
Absolutely.
Dude, stoked to have you here. So you're here. You're a shining example of what I want the new normal of Restaurant Unstoppable to look like. As I'm traveling the country, I'm talking to successful restaurateurs. They're referring me to other successful people who are adjacent, satellite to the restaurant industry. In my research, in my conversations, I think the first person that mentioned your company was David DiLorenzo, who actually made the introduction to us. In my research and just trying to figure out who else to talk to in the Phoenix Valley, I think I saw your website at least 3 or 4 other times, DashTrack branding on the bottom of the website. And then I had, Jonathan, help me out with his last name. There's so many names in my last name.
Yeah, from Arizona Wilderness.
Yes. Jonathan Buford from Arizona Wilderness Brewing Company, who specifically called you out to be a guest on the show. So this is the universe talking to me. This is why I'm here. Obviously, you've created an incredible organization too. So I'm super stoked to find out more about DashTrack, how you're serving the restaurant industry. But before we dive into who you are and how you got to where you are and what you're all about, let's get that motivational, inspirational ball rolling with a success quote or mantra. What do you got for us?
Top mantra is something that I've been developing since I was 12 years old, starting with my parents' sites, and my dad actually gave me my top mantra back then, and it was that he never wanted to hear me say that something wasn't possible to do. And so anytime that we're asked to build out a feature, we get kind of challenged with something like that, that's something that I've returned back to for almost 30 years now. And just questioning if just because something's hard doesn't mean that it's impossible. And so we really take that to heart for everything that we do.
Do you know what's going on at a psychological level, or not even psychology, but just like the hardware of the brain when you tell yourself something isn't possible?
Not exactly.
I think I know the answer to that.
Yep.
And it's literally your frontal lobe is that executive part of your brain. That is the creative part of your brain. It can override the more basic parts of your brain if you choose to turn it on. And when you say something's not possible, your frontal lobe goes, okay, it's not possible. I'm going to shut off now because I don't want to waste energy, because it's a huge energy suck to think creatively.
Yep.
But when you say something is possible, you kick that frontal lobe into hyper gear and it just figures it out. It starts looking for possibilities, and it just starts literally, the neuroplasticity of your brain starts folding and molding to learn the new skill, the new habit. It's fascinating shit.
Yeah. No, I definitely witnessed that throughout my career, and especially over the last 7 years with DashTrack.
Yeah, awesome stuff, man. Great way to get this thing started. So how long has DashTrack been around?
We've been building out restaurant websites now for a little over 7 years. So we started with the genesis of DashTrack it all started when I was in grad school, working on my master's in computer science, and I was struggling to find a thesis project. And one of my best friends here, still a really good friend, he owns a little wine and beer shop in Old Town Scottsdale. And one of the days when I was just still trying to kind of figure out what I really wanted to focus on for the thesis, it was the same day that he was in the shop and cussing at his computer because he was just having a
Kind of like how I was before we got started.
yeah, exactly. And he was just having a miserable time just doing some basic things like updating menus on his website and hours. And he's like, there's no reason why these kinds of things should be this difficult. And he tried multiple platforms, none of them really suited his needs. And so that was the start of it.
Can you timestamp this? This is 2013. Is that when I saw you graduated college?
Well, I was a non-traditional student, so I went back for my master's in my late 20s.
Okay.
Yep. So that was a little bit over a decade ago, and then by the time I got to the point where I picked out the actual master's thesis, it was about 7 years ago.
Okay. So this is going back to about 2015, 16? Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
I'm horrible at math, clearly. So the thesis was to build a better website for a restaurant or food business. Like, what was the actual thesis?
Well, the actual thesis, because that was what I tried to present, but the universities are a little bit pickier than that. So the actual thesis was a very formal thing. Specifically, I think the formal name was something like how to implement a microservice architecture, which essentially was to create a content management system, which essentially was saying how to build a architecture with various other servers all communicating with each other and things like that. Boring to 99.9% of the population. And so it was that was kind of simply the formality that had to be done for it to be a valid thesis. But the end result was creating something that was hospitality specific, that allowed restaurant owners, bar owners, people in that industry to have a platform that was built just for them. So instead of, having, like, if you're using tools like WordPress or Squarespace or, any of these kinds of general purpose tools, they're fantastic tools. Wix and all of those are amazing. They're built great and they're really well done, but they're not built specifically for bars and restaurants.
So the big takeaway there is that there's tools and services that existed, but they weren't geared towards the restaurant owner. Specifically, what did the restaurant owner, what was the pain point that you identified that the restaurant owner needed?
They really wanted something that was geared just for them. So
what was missing at this?
Well, mainly with most of the general purpose tools out there, there's nothing that's really specific in terms of things like menus or being able to drive users directly to to certain things that only a bar and restaurant would really want, because a tool like Squarespace has to work for restaurants, but also has to work for gyms, and it has to work for real estate agents. It has to work for like all of these various kinds of platforms or industries, whereas a bar and restaurant owner, they want to log in and just right away see their menus, have the ability to, be one click away from accessing the things that they really need, as opposed to having, these other tools. You create workarounds to say, okay, this is going to be what represents menus in this system, and there's always like extra steps you have to take, and a lot of times what the end result is that these owners aren't able to, a lot of times, make the changes themselves.
Right. We've talked about this on the show before, and we call this having the keys to the house. So many people will get these fancy, beautiful websites, but they don't have the keys to the house, meaning they can't get in there and actually make changes on the fly when they need to, which is, I think, a unique thing about the restaurant industry, is that you're constantly having to update menus and do these things. You need tools where you can just literally open the keys, get the keys, open the doors to your house, i.e. your website, and go in and move things around last second if you need to.
And it's funny because when we started, I thought the secret was going to be creating all of these shortcuts and streamlined services and those kinds of things. And we built those, and we spent a few years building.
What kind of shortcuts? Give me examples.
Things like, when you log in, instead of having to dig around for, where your menus are, trying to find, what represents a menu.
So like the standard things that every restaurant would have, like
Yes.
a menu, like scheduling, like address, like a map, so you can find your place, the About Me page, maybe a page that's dedicated to the companies that you work with and promote, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And so we spent several years initially building out those kinds of shortcuts. So someone logs in, they're able to do it. We even built out tools where a restaurant owner could simply text message, change their hours, or, different ways to manage it and to make it really easy. And then we discovered that most restaurant owners didn't even like doing those kinds of things. And so we realized we had to take it a step further. And so that's when we started really focusing on our integrations. So instead of making changes to the menu, we are making it easy to make changes to the menu like we initially did. We started building out all of our POS integrations. So then all that had to happen is a restaurant owner, manager, anything like that simply goes and they make a change at their POS, and then it automatically updates the website.
Got it.
For hours, one thing we discovered is no matter how easy we made it for the owners to change their hours, they would constantly forget to change like the website hours.
I think I was destined to be a restaurant owner, and that sounds like something I would do.
Yep. So then, but we started to pay attention to it. We realized the one thing they are good about are updating their Google hours and things like that. And so we built out a Google integration so that when they change their hours on Google, it would then go update the website. So that's really a big reason why a lot of clients really seem to like us, is because it's our goal to try to limit the amount of time you even have to spend in the platform and to help automate those processes.
What other companies, and I had the time to do the mental math 7 years ago, was 2017. Does that sound accurate when you were working on this project?
Yep.
The only other company I had on my radar, I mean, there are a couple others I can't remember. One had like an octopus as like a logo. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure octopus, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
But the one major one I was aware of during this time was Bento Box. Bento Box must have been on your radar at that time.
Yep.
What were you doing at this time that you thought Bento Box wasn't doing? What was your unique selling proposition?
Definitely related to design customization. So if you look at pretty much the majority of our competitors, so Bento Box, Spot Hopper, Pop Menu, these competitors, you can recognize without really any kind of eye for design or anything like that. If you've seen one of them, all the rest look the same.
Yeah, it's a template.
Yes, and not just a template like the way that Squarespace or WordPress do it, where they have the ability to have thousands of templates. Pop Menu only has really one template. So every Pop Menu site looks identical. There's only a change in colors and different things like that. And so the homepage layout is completely identical.
Right.
And so we, with the architecture that we built out, we decided to focus on giving clients the ability to have designs that were not limited by any kind of template or any kind of required layout or anything like that.
Yeah. So just to go on record, some of the companies I've worked with in the past, Pop Menu, Bento Box has been a past sponsor. Mm-hmm. Pop Menu has been a past sponsor. Owner.com, a new competitor, which I'm sure is on your radar, has been a past sponsor. And it seems like all these I don't try to be the guy that says like, this is the one thing you have to do. This is the option. It's really my goal to talk to everybody and to get the unique selling propositions out there and to find out what not necessarily what makes you better, but just what makes you different.
Yep.
Right. And I know, so with Pop Menu, I know that they have their ability to like basically leave reviews right in the website, which is one of their unique selling propositions. I know they're playing with AI for like, they're like going beyond the website. When I had my more recent conversation with Adam Gould from owner.com, what he said in terms of why that they, similar to Pop Menu and to at this time it would have been, I think Spot Hopper was the other one that you mentioned.
Probably.
With the templates.
Yep.
When I asked him about that ability to make changes, he said the reason why we don't give you the ability to make changes is because there's one way to have the highest conversion from website viewer to purchasing through the website. What is your take on that?
I would say with certain things like menu layouts, I definitely agree with that, which is why there are, when you go to click menu, then there are very specific kind of layouts that are very call to action driven and conversion driven. And so for a menu or like a specific component, that's definitely the case. As far as like the homepage or, the entire site looking the same, there are a million different ways to create, high converting websites, and a lot of times it's different per concept. So you might have some brands that are much more on the high end side, and the other thing to consider too is restaurants have incredibly different goals too. So you can have some of our restaurants could care less about online ordering. And so that is going to be a very different conversion, a very different type of kind of funnel, as it were, for somebody that's trying to, say, focus more on private events and trying to drive more bookings like that. Others might be focused more on reservations. Others might be more on online ordering. Some might be focused more just purely on trying to get foot traffic and branding. So I don't think there's one way of doing it. And so because of that, I don't think there's, one type of layout or that kind of thing. There are definitely ones that are more optimal depending on what the goals of the client are, but we try to create something that's more flexible. And like you said, it's different things. There's different platforms that fit better for each concept and each client.
I have to interrupt today's episode to let you know that Restaurant Unstoppable and Restaurant Systems Pro are taking their relationship to the next level. CEO of Restaurant Systems Pro, Fred Langley, is making himself available once a week in Restaurant Unstoppable Network to answer all of your questions. Here's the thing, I don't want to be a coach, I don't want to be a consultant, but I know the best in the industry, and Fred Langley is the best. He has consistently taken his clients and increased their profit by 10%, and he can help you do the same thing. All you gotta do is click the link below and join a live session in Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, even thinking about, and actually, as we're recording this, just so you're aware, we're doing something we've never done before on the podcast, and I hope that this is working because I'll find out after the recording if it's not. But I have my computer screen being recorded right now with our voiceover. So if you head to Restaurant Unstoppable podcast on YouTube and subscribe, you can watch the video. We're going to be talking about some of the features, and like even just thinking of like Arizona Wilderness Brewing Co., which is Jonathan Buford's website. Like they have a very intimate brand, where a lot of what's important to Jonathan, I know after talking to him, is about communicating all the things that they do to go the extra mile to make an impact on their community. Yep. So for a brand like that, is it most important that you are ordering food to go and for delivery? I don't know if that's
no. They actually they actually don't even have that as an offering. Did
you try to talk them out of that?
No, no. They're very specific about that. We actually I had a call with them just a couple weeks ago, actually, because we were making some design updates, and that was something that they were very specific about. They only wanted to focus on pickup orders for anything related to online ordering, and everything else is related, or to making it easy to get menu access for all of the people that are actually going on site and are at the restaurant in person.
Yeah. So when I go to the Arizona Wilderness website, the first thing I see front and center, if I'm just at their homepage, is like the scrolling menu at the top with beautiful imagery. And I know that part of Jonathan's thing too is his art form, his photography. So he wants that to be front and center with everything he's doing. So as you're scrolling through, it looks like the scroll is like drink like you care. Every pint of wilderness beer you drink puts more than 50 gallons of water back into the Arizona waters. The next one is made with Arizona grown ingredients star in every single beer we brew. The next one is party with us, holiday, get together, wedding recipes, your dog's birthday. You tell us the party you want to throw and we'll make it happen. So it seems like to them, front and center is more like core value type stuff. Like this is what separates us in terms of our value systems. And then it's also promotional of like special events.
Exactly. And so that they're kind of in a category that I didn't even mention. We mentioned, high-end restaurants. We mentioned like all of those. They have their locations, but they also are a actual beer brand. So they have their own very wide-reaching distribution where they're selling their beers, and so they themselves are a brand, and so they have those kinds of things that they want to be able to share with others. And when potential distributors and those kinds of people come to the site, they want to be able to showcase all of that too. So that's another really good example of part of why we are structured the way we are, is because we want to be able to make it possible to let them do that without locking them into one design, one layout, or that kind of thing. One of the things when we started, one of our very early goals that we've not departed from whatsoever, was we wanted to make it possible to look like each of our clients to look like they went and spent tens of thousands of dollars with a digital agency, and to make it possible to build out the platform and to automate things to the point where they don't have to pay a penny for any of that. So we've never charged a penny for design, for development, setup, anything like that. We actually charge less than our competitors who don't actually even really offer those services.
Okay, interesting. So earlier you started getting into all the integrations, and I took you off that path, but I think it'd be really cool to kind of like, I don't know if it's worth talking about the evolution of DashTrack, because I don't know if the what it was like 4 years ago is really going to serve our listeners today. So really kind of paint the picture of how DashTrack has evolved to look at, like it is today. Like so you talked about the menu integration with the POS, where if you change items in the POS, it automatically pushes to the website. You talked about Google integration. So as you're doing, your business Google account and you're updating hours or like location or any of these things, it automatically pushes to the website. What else?
We have integrations on the marketing side. So we give the clients have the ability to send both email and SMS campaigns directly from within the platform without having to leave it. We have what has become a lot of people's favorite. We have a very extensive AI integration that we keep on extending, and that's kind of one of the probably one of the biggest kinds of integrations that we continue to build out, because it is dramatically increasing kind of just the speed that people are able to get new pages, new content, like anything like that live. So on the AI side at the moment, one of the biggest things that people are using is instead of having to go to a service like ChatGPT or, any of the various AI services that are out there, they're simply able to go into DashTrack. We've built out a very extensive prompt engine, and we have a combination of 17 at the moment different AI engines built into the platform, and clients are able to simply click the little AI engine. They can type 2 words and say how long and what the tone is that they want to utilize, and an entire page of content will be created for them. So a landing page that previously would have taken days, if not longer, to build out and to have somebody, spending a lot of time focusing on that, because what we've essentially pre-injected all of their website content, their location information, their review information, like all their menus, all of those kinds of things. They're able to simply skip ahead instead of having to go and paste all that in as a prompt or as context into one of the AI tools. They're able to just type out a few words and the system generates all of that for them.
Got it. So, let's go back to the email and SMS. I feel like there's so many services out there today that offer email and SNS marketing. Even like like a lot of POS systems have email and SMS. Where, in terms of like redundancy work, where do you fall on that?
Well, a lot of it is, the reason why we built it out was because if we're the ones managing all of their forms and everything like that on the website, then it saves them time from having to go and export the data to some other platform like MailChimp or any of those.
When you say managing forms, what are you talking about specifically?
All the web forms on the website. Okay. So their contact form, their mailing list, like all of those kinds of things, they're able to simply take those directly. And we have so many clients that just jump on there, type out a sentence, send out a text message to all of their loyalty members or that kind of thing, and they're able to it just helps them to automate the process. We also make it possible to export it for the ones that want to do it that way. It's we really leave it up to whatever kind of their preference is for it.
Now these AI features that you've built in for so are those features available on developing like the copy for the pages, or is it more the copy for the email marketing campaigns?
It's both. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, blogs, content marketing, website copy, email marketing. We have a ton of clients that use it to create their social media captions.
I feel like this would be a great example to use with the back end. So if I'm at DashTrack.com and I'm on this client showcase, I can't access their back end, right?
No.
But we can show the websites, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Is there a way I can get access to like a dummy account?
Oh yeah.
What would that look like? Want me just carefully? I want to make sure anything comes unplugged.
So here's the back end, and so say for the content, and I just logged into the DashTrack account itself. So say that you had a new page that we wanted to create. One you could call it anything that you want. So because we're in DashTrack, then we're gonna create something. We'll create something kind of specific to like what we would actually be using it for. So let me think. We could just do something super basic like an about us.
So I'm gonna give a play-by-play while this is going on. So right now, what page are we on right now in the back end?
We're just in the content manager.
Okay, so this is the content manager, and what are you trying to do right now?
I'm just showing you how we can generate an entire page of content just through the AI engine.
So we're looking at the back end where we have this ability to create a new page on the website. And what kind of page is this going to be?
It's just going to be an about us.
An about us?
Yep. I'm going to show it's one that I like to do because in order to use like ChatGPT or something like that, we'd have to obviously put in a ton of content specifically about what we do, what our services are, what makes us different, those kinds of things.
So you're typing in the topic field about us. Yep. And then after that?
That's all I'm going to do. You can pick your tone. You could add you can add as much detail or as little detail as you want. So for this, I'm just going to make this descriptive. And then for our content length, I'm going to just make it extended because I want it to be a decent amount. And then from there, I'm just going to have it start the generation process. And so what it's doing right now is it's cross-referencing its kind of knowledge about DashTrack and that kind of thing. And so if you see, it is specifically everything that's generated. It talks about what our differentiation points are. It talks exactly about what our services are, all of those things. And all I did was type in about us. Okay. And all of that. And that could be, for one thing that we do a ton of with this is, related to like how clients add additional context for their own site. So if you go to one of our clients like Taco Spot here, they have a number of different Mexican kind of fast casual restaurants, and I want to say there are 8 or 9 locations now. And so if you go to any of their locations, each one of their locations has, the various, the basic things like their, like map, location, contact details, and those kinds of things. But then also, if you scroll all the way down.
So we're on the Taco Spot website right now. This is their homepage. We're scrolled down. What are we looking at?
And so right here, this is something specifically generated for search engine optimization. So the AI engine generated all of this by simply going to that page, the same type of page that I was on, and we simply said, information about Taco Spot, Chandler in this case, and plugs in that, and it generated all of this content specifically about the location, different things about some of their key menu items that they feature.
Yeah, on this page we're looking at, there's titles, like the subjects at the top and with copy underneath it. And the titles are things like, we are the delicious breakfast restaurant too, better than fast food restaurants, a short history of Berea Mexican food, about the Taco Spot, explore the history of Chandler, Arizona. So basically, you're prompting this AI to go through and search the internet for information specific to tacos, this town and their specific location. So they just searching the web for articles that were written about them and just pulling all that information?
That's part of it, yeah. So continuing kind of the conversation about integrations, we have a very extensive set of integrations specific to search engine optimization. So we have a full SERP integration, which
what's SERP integration?
So SERP is essentially Google's programmatic way to tie into the Google search system. So by tying into it, we're able to pass in information about tacos in Chandler, Arizona, or Tempe, Arizona, or wherever the location is, we get information about their competitors. So when we do the search, it'll bring up all their competitors. It'll bring in the keywords that they're using to get traffic to their sites. It extracts those. It takes all of that. It then passes that through a workflow to the AI engine. And the AI engine takes all of those keywords, those topics, and those kinds of things into account, and obviously brings in all the information about the business and wraps it all up to generate the full version of the content.
So what exactly is happening when it's referencing the other businesses in that area? Is it looking for holes in the what they're not saying? Do you want to use the same keywords to compete, or do you want to try to find different words?
So one of the other integrations is, if I'm not sure if you've ever heard of a company called SEMrush. So SEMrush is one of the biggest search engine optimization platforms out there. And they have what is called their keyword gap analysis. And so if you open it up, actually has a really nice visualization. We also tie into it programmatically. What SEMrush will give is this keyword gap analysis, which gives the ability for you to type in your website, and then it will have all your competitors lined up right there. And then it actually sets up a Venn diagram. When we're doing it programmatically, obviously it just gives us data back. But when you're doing it, if you're going to the actual dashboard, it has these really nice visuals. And so it actually shows you all of the keywords your competitors are doing that are bringing people to their sites, and then it shows a circle with where you're at, and then it shows kind of where the overlap is. So obviously you want to embrace the spots that you're in, but what it can do is give you insight into many of the other topics and keywords that maybe you didn't think about.
What's this program called?
SEMrush.
SEMrush. And this is another integration that you have. So you tie right into the back end of SEMrush.
Correct.
Yes. How long has SEMrush been around? What's the
longer than us?
Yeah,
they're probably one of the biggest SEO tools out there.
Got it. Yep. Maybe this might be my next interview. Cool. Anything else you want to show us, or?
No, I mean, that's the actual dashboard. Depending on kind of how much you want to show. You can see here.
Yeah, it's actually, while we have the computer.
Yeah.
So right now, what we're looking at is the back end of DashTrack, basically the dashboard. So on the left side of the screen, we have a bunch of menu. I guess these will all be like menu items, or is that mirror the right side of the screen?
Yes. Yep. So this is just this is something that is always available, and this is the one that's just right in front of the user when they log in.
So would you call this a menu? Are these
a navigation
menu? So we have on the right side, we have analytics, catalog, content, labor, marketing, ordering, reservations, settings, DashTrack.com.
And you have so you have the ability to set up multiple websites. So we have, these are all like demos and those kinds of things. And so we have clients, we have some of our biggest clients. We have one client out in Chicago that they have something like, I want to say like 11 or 12 websites. Wow. And
so it's like a dashboard.
Yes, and so that's one of the other differentiating points. I mean, we have a few of our competitors that offer it, but many don't, where the client is simply able to have one single login, and they're able to access all of their websites and all their data all in one spot. So all their marketing lists, all of their the form submissions, reservations, orders, they can get a snapshot of all their analytics, their menus, their website copy, all in one spot.
Got it. So, I mean, is it worth going through these features and kind of talking about what you get? So you just talked about the dashboard where you can access all of your websites from one host, essentially.
Yep.
Your DashTrack account, and then I mean, I don't know how hard it's going to be to talk about this stuff on a podcast and have the listeners really understand what's happening. Yep. So as you go through, I can try to offer some narrative, or you can talk through what you're doing and what we're looking at.
Yep. Absolutely.
Am I opening up Pandora's box right now? Like, am I?
Oh no, but a little bit, but I'll try to keep it closed as much as we can.
Yeah.
Because at a high level, it's not that complicated, because that's the goal of it, is to keep it as simple as possible.
So I guess for here, it makes sense to start with the analytics and go as far south as set our settings.
So
right?
you click on analytics right here, and so you have the ability to break it down per website. So you can click on this and get a breakdown of, every one of your various website, data points. What we initially found was many clients, like we give the ability, obviously, to integrate tools like Google Analytics and, those kinds of things. But many clients either don't want to, don't really understand it. It overcomplicates the kinds of things, and they simply want to see some basic things. Like they want to be able to see, hey, when I ran this, when I ran these Instagram posts, or those kinds of things, did I get a big spike in traffic? And they navigating into Google Analytics and these other tools constantly may not be something that they really want to spend a ton of time doing. So they can do it here, as well as doing it on those kind of platforms. So we leave that completely up to them, but we do keep and track all of that right here. So we kind of focused on the main things that people might want to look at. So things like, their page views, their users. We also have a chart people really seem to like, where they can actually get clusters to see exactly where their users are coming from, which is...
So where are we on this map? Oh, wait, well, where's the restaurant on this map? In the center right there in Phoenix, or?
Well, we're in the...
Is this a real restaurant?
No, we're in DashTrack. We're just in the DashTrack account. So, so they're, it's a cluster. So they're clustered all over, depending on, where the users are accessing.
So where people are physically located who are doing the search, who are on your website, you can see where they are.
Yep, exactly. Then you can get a breakdown of which are your most popular pages and who your top traffic sources are, those kinds of things.
See, what I like the idea in terms of scale is this idea of centrifugal circles, where like when you're scaling out, you want it to not go from, like, say you're in Austin, Texas. You don't want to go to Seattle, Washington next. Yeah. You want to maybe go 3 or 4 miles or 6 miles away from your original location.
Yep.
So what I see that feature being like really cool, like where's the other spot in the city where most of our customers are coming from, where if we can move closer to them, or maybe is that the wrong idea?
Oh, no, that's the whole reason we created it.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So you take, Arizona Wilderness for a really good example. Say that they are planning out their next location. Right now they're in downtown Phoenix and they're in Gilbert. Those places are, pretty far apart. So they're able to see exactly where their users are coming from that aren't in one of those areas.
Right. And they started in Gilbert, and their second location was downtown Phoenix.
Correct.
So was that where a lot of people were coming from?
Yes. Yep. And so they may keep researching, may see the data coming in and be like, oh, West Phoenix might be.
I wonder if that's like because when people come to Arizona, they were such a well-known brewery that they're probably staying downtown and they're saying to themselves, what should we do? Well, this super famous brewery is here. We should go to Gilbert.
Yep. No, absolutely. I mean, it's those kinds of things. And also, the area where they're at in downtown Phoenix they're right on Roosevelt Road, which is one of the hottest spots in all of Arizona. Cool. And so that's also going to get a lot of people going to it.
Let's blast through some of these other features here. I also want to talk about like where like marketing is presently, where the future of marketing is going, and how you're looking to evolve DashTrack to be there. But that's a little teaser. I just want to put that on your radar so we make sure we have plenty of time.
Yes, absolutely. So catalog is...
what does that mean, catalog?
Yep, catalog is simply your set of menus. So you can see here we have some kind of demo menus set up right here to test out. So we wanted to create a interface that was as dead simple for people to utilize when it came to menu updates for the ones that say aren't using a POS integration, because we have some that are either using a POS that doesn't allow for integrations, or they simply wanted to, keep it on here. So what we did is we built out, instead of, we looked at all of our competitors, looked at all the different ways that people can manage those online. And one of the biggest things people really, really said their clients really wanted to do was simply to make it possible to manage their menus as if it was on a spreadsheet. And so that's literally exactly the type of interface that we built out. So right here, say that you wanted to change that beef tenderloin name or price, you simply double click on it, and then you can update it however you want, hit return, and it automatically gets updated.
So this is also being updated. If you make the changes on the dashboard or the catalog or menu, is it pushing to the POS?
We do have that ability, but it's something that you can turn on or off. And it's rare that somebody who has a POS integration would be controlling it from here.
They'd rather control it through the POS.
Correct. Yeah.
What about the two-way tokenization in terms of okay, now we have third-party platforms we have to worry about, right?
Yep.
And the issue with those third-party platforms is the information only flows one way. It only comes from the third party and goes to the POS. Yeah. But what happens if there's an issue where they say, hey, I want this salad, and can I get a side burger patty on my salad? Mm-hmm. And you're like, you jabroni, we don't have burgers here. Or maybe you do, but there isn't a button, but you're not going to give away a free burger patty, right? So then you can send information to the third party saying, hey, we're happy to do that. Here's a $4 upcharge that goes straight to the third party. Am I explaining this well?
They're typically not able to just
push information to the third party.
You're correct. Yeah. So the way that those are all structured is through the various modifier systems, and they are incredibly strict. So we can't, say for our online ordering system, and say you go to the Taco Spot website, and if we go to online ordering and we go to one of these items here, you can see these are the modifiers, your toppings and those kinds of things. To add your burger example, there's no burger option, there's nothing like that. And if we tried to send it, it would be rejected from the POS. So they're very strict on what you can send. And so the third parties like the Uber Eats, the DoorDashes, there's no variance or anything. They're just programmed to say, this is what we're allowed to send, this is the structure we're allowed to send, because they know if they send the wrong structure, the order would get rejected.
Okay, got it.
I have to interrupt today's episode to let you know that Restaurant Unstoppable and Restaurant Systems Pro are taking their relationship to the next level. CEO of Restaurant Systems Pro, Fred Langley, is making himself available once a week in Restaurant Unstoppable Network to answer all of your questions. Here's the thing, I don't want to be a coach, I don't want to be a consultant, but I know the best in the industry, and Fred Langley is the best. He has consistently taken his clients and increased their profit by 10%, and he can help you do the same thing. All you gotta do is click the link below and join a live session in Facebook.
Back to the catalog. So there's the ability to adjust the menu.
Yep.
What else?
You're able to control the modifiers like we were just talking about, where you can have all of those various customizations, add-ons, variants. So everything from, making something possible to be ordered in a small, medium, or large variant, or being able to add modifiers. Say, I want to add, guacamole to this, or, those kinds of things. So you're able to control that from here. If we're integrating with one of the POS systems, we simply map to however that they have it structured. So that's really, from at a high level, that's really, all that you have to worry about on the catalog side. The whole goal of it's to try to streamline it.
Can you expand the catalog menu? So we just looked at menu items, menu locations, menu modifiers we mentioned, inventory levels. So is that pulling from the actual POS, your your inventory
if they
software?
if they use it. Yes.
So
very few clients use inventory.
Why not?
It's a pain for them.
So if they had, say, Toast POS or Restaurant Systems Pro, based right here in Phoenix, Arizona, by the way, that has a inventory system built in, could you tie, this platform straight to?
Yes, and we do. It's just so incredibly rare that we do the same thing with Square and Clover and these. It is so rare that we have someone that actually uses their inventory system.
What's the benefit of using this system, tying it to their inventory system?
The benefits, giving visibility essentially, and also for some of the clients that do use it, they're usually the ones that have much tighter controls on availability. So you might have somebody that is a seafood place, and they know that they only have 20 pounds of this type of salmon available. And so when sales take it down to a certain threshold, then they want to be able to view that and know about it. But it's something that usually they just kind of manage at the POS level. So it's not even something that they worry about a ton on here, but we do like to be very comprehensive. So that's a reason why we have that in place.
So we got content.
Yep.
Which we already kind of talked about a little bit.
Everything website related, your media your
events.
like your happenings and those kinds of things, your page content, your blogs. We keep these separate so that you can do any number of blogs, content marketing, and those kinds of things. We also made this a lot.
This being blogs.
Yeah. So we made our blogs an even easier interface even than our pages, because the pages really, you don't change your website like copy and design a ton. Like once you get it done, you might do a few little things, but for the most part, you're not going through and, redoing your design, that kind of thing on a regular basis. So this gives a lot more, the pages give a lot more control over what the page and the content and those kinds of things are going to look like. Whereas the blogs are something that you are going to typically use quite a bit, especially with a tool like DashTrack, where it can automate a lot of that with the AI engine. So you're not wasting a huge amount of time actually writing it out. You're simply able to have the copy written for you and just publish it. So that's another thing that why those get used quite a bit. And the interface here is much more streamlined. So it does not require very much technical expertise in order to build those out.
So you have other features here. If I'm getting ahead of you, I apologize. Labor, marketing.
Yep.
I don't think we even talked about labor yet. So is this like clocking in, clocking out?
Eventually, yes. So yeah, that is in the future plans for what we'll be building.
Would that integrate with things like POS and like other restaurant systems, like say Restaurant Systems Pro or Restaurant 365?
Yep, and along with payroll systems.
Will it push to those platforms or pull from those platforms?
Both.
Okay, got it.
Yep, because everybody's a little bit different in terms of how they'd want to manage it. So depending on if they're wanting to control it at the POS level and get the visibility there, but they may want to we have our mobile applications, our Android and our iOS apps. They may, the most common thing that people have been asking for related to labor and time tracking is the ability for their employees to have their DashTrack application and to be able to clock in, clock out, view their tips, and those kinds of things. Because with the POS apps, a lot of those they're kind of geared more towards management and and that kind of thing. So not all of them, some of them do, but not all of them are really geared towards giving those to your employees and managing the visibility that they have access to and
Got
that
it.
kind of. So that's a big thing, but that's not something that's that we built out quite yet.
I feel like we already saw marketing.
Yep. So
You kind of
marketing,
went in
we
there.
talked about with like the email and the SMS and
Drop
those
it
kinds
down
of
real
things.
quick.
Yep.
Like actually that,
Yep.
yeah. So we have content, chat bots, bot questions. Are those like cues you can?
Yep. Yeah. Additional pieces of knowledge that you can feed
It looks
directly.
like you have list segmentation here as well.
Correct. Yep. Click on lists and you'll see all of your various marketing lists.
Now, are you able to create campaigns? Like,
yes.
Okay, so campaigns in the sense of like, if they come in, like, if this then that, kind of like convert kit, like sequencing and stuff like that.
Yep. That's right here where you see journeys.
Okay.
So say that you want to do something like, well, Delo's a good example. You go to Delo's website.
So Delo has a bar and restaurant insurance website.
Yep.
So you handle his website.
Yep. And so you have it in your history.
Do me a favor. Well, I mean, he's an example, but like, I don't know if it's his example will be relatable to all the people listening. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Well, this one's just to show the trigger because he has like the stay involved, and he has like actually it was the pop-up get a free ebook when you sign up for his mailing list.
Okay, got it.
And so if you fill that out, you'll immediately be sent a ebook. The client, the reason why I give him an example is because that's kind of a more practical one people are kind of used to, whereas the normal, the standard restaurant, they may do that to say, maybe here's a coupon or that kind of thing, but that's usually the extent of it. We actually have a full ROI tracking system exactly with what you're talking about, where a customer will go in, they will fill out a form, and they'll be sent a QR code coupon that's tied directly to them.
Give me an example how you would use that. Like, so QR code, but what's the copy associated with it? Like how would we pull somebody in from Wild Wild West, Never Neverland to warm, like, here's the offer, let's get you into our email on a specific segmented list? Like, what's the practice?
Yeah, a great example that I've seen several clients do is a birthday special.
Okay.
So they can target on Facebook and Google people who are going to be having a birthday in the next 30 days.
Okay.
They target them to say, come in, get a free dessert or get $10 off or, whatever the promotion is. They send them to a specific landing page with a specific form that has that trigger and that full automation in place. So the user types in their contact information. They're probably, if it's a restaurant that does like reservations, they're immediately sent to try to get them to place a reservation to get them booked right away. But as soon as they fill out the form, they're sent a text message and an email with
A link back to the reservations platform.
yes, it has a link back, and it also has sends a unique QR code that's tied specifically to them and with the discount there.
So they can get that scanned when they
Yes.
show up to get their discount.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yep. So, and then we have the full automation. So they get that right away. A week later or whenever you want to, you can send a follow-up one with the same QR code, all of that kind of thing.
In my mind too, if you're running specials like your wings special, your pasta special, whatever, you can figure out, like, maybe it's a fish special. You can find out what people are signing up for those specials, and then if you ever want to target, now you have a list of people that like fish. Hey, we have this new fish plate. You should come check it out, because you know that those people came in on an offer, a specific offer for a fish plate, which means they're a fish junkie, which means like you want to tailor the message to them.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yep.
What else can we? I mean, I do want to talk more high level stuff too. I mean, thank you so much for opening up your website and letting us drill down.
Absolutely.
I want to respect your time too. So is there anything that we haven't seen that you think is really important that we do see?
Oh, one big thing that has become incredibly popular lately is our ticketing engine, because we have a full reservation system and that kind of thing. But one thing that is become very popular lately is the ability to charge for various events and those kinds of things. So, special.
We are in the experience economy after all.
Yes. Well, and the other thing is the majority of our clients have actually been doing it for a while, and they
Using Talk?
Some of them using Talk, but I would say the ones that use Talk kind of stay with Talk.
Okay.
Because they're usually using them for their regular reservations and that kind of thing. The majority of the people that have been switching to us specifically for that have been the ones using Eventbrite. Because, and I actually used to work for Eventbrite too, as a developer for a couple of years. And the Eventbrite pricing is so high. So
How does that work? Do they take a cut of the actual transaction?
they take a cut of everything. They charge a customer, they charge the customer service fee. They charge 2 fees to the restaurant. So you end up paying 3 fees for every single ticketing transaction that goes there.
Yeah.
And so that is by far the most common
migration.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's funny. I was actually speaking to the head of marketing for Mies today. Mm-hmm. Thank you for the support, Mies. I don't know if you integrate with Mies too or anything like that, but it's like a back of house chef like recipe management and training platform that does more. I'm not selling it well right now. I don't have the ad copy in front of me. But I was asking like, what's the future of marketing? Where are we going? He said that like further fragmentation of basically as technology evolves, more control is going to be going into the hands of the end user. So like you've had all these companies that see a pain point in an industry, they create a solution and they own the market and they get fucking greedy with that too. And now what's happening, you're seeing companies like what you're doing with DashTrack coming out, solving the problem of the restaurant owner of saying, hey, your problem now isn't that you have a solution, it's that solution is bending you over way too far.
Yep.
And now we're going to, help you stand right up a little bit and get on your own feet.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So that's really exciting to see. I love seeing that.
Yes, and the other thing is, everything that we do is really focused on allowing our clients to maintain their brand. So whether it's online ordering, reservations, ticketing, anything like that, the other thing that people really like is they're no longer sending somebody to a third-party platform. So everything, whenever a transaction takes place, everything is happening right there with you. So you go to somebody that's using this right now. So this is West Alley Barbecue. They also, in addition to being a restaurant, they are a full-featured venue for various concerts and things like that. So if you go to their event calendar here and scroll down, each time you see like a little ticket icon, this is our system. So this is our ticketing system. They're using a variant of the system that actually allows people to pick the table that they want to sit at. That is not the way most people do it. They're actually one of the only clients I think that actually utilize that. But most restaurants want to be in control over where the person's going to sit, not give that to the user. But in their case, kind of like what you were saying, giving more control to the user over the experience. Yeah. That's exactly what they're allowing their people to do. And so you come here, you get to pick out your package, whether it's a VIP, a regular one, then you get to pick out the seats that you want to sit at, and then you go through the process. as opposed to, being sent out to Eventbrite or,
Got it.
any of those. So yeah, that's another reason why people really like is because the user never leaves their brand.
I love that. Okay, let's go high level real quick. I'm going to take my computer back, and if you could scooch your seat over just a little bit more to the left, because we can't save the out of focus camera anymore with my computer screen. So one of the things, so anything in terms of what you offer, what is unique to DashTrack that hasn't come out of today's conversation, unique selling propositions that you want to make sure our listeners know about?
Yeah, so we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but not really with like a ton of examples or anything. But the huge thing that continually comes back that people absolutely love is the ability for them to have their own unique brand, their own unique voice, their design, and that kind of thing. The majority of our clients that come to us are clients that came from, some platform that you had either a template or you had a very limited, number of layouts that they could do, and it felt like they really didn't have the ability to have their own site and their own brand. So, one of the clients I mentioned, we have one of the largest restaurant groups in Chicago, and the reason why they have explicitly said the reason why that they went to us was because of that. So they switched from one of the companies we mentioned earlier, and they did not like the fact that they were locked into a site that looked exactly the same across the board. They're very big on the branding side of things, and so giving the ability to have a site that looks completely unique and that matches their look and feel and that kind of thing is huge. One huge thing that is our biggest release of this quarter is actually tying that exact thing directly to the AI engine. So up until now, the AI engine has been all about content. And then our design engine has been something that we manage. The major thing that we have been releasing over the past few months, and we're going to be making available publicly here this summer, is where it's actually going to connect both of those things together. And so we've spent the better part of the last year and a half or so actually teaching, when I mentioned all of those various AI engines that we built into the system, a huge component of that has been teaching the AI engines about DashTrack. So we've taught all of those engines various parts of the platform. So one of the engines focused specifically around design and layouts and those things. We taught it every single component that we have in the DashTrack platform. Another one was really taught about branding and those kinds of things. So the kind of the final end result of that is going to be like right now. You saw where I was able to just type a couple keywords and it generated a bunch of content. The next stage of that is where it's actually going to, instead of just create the big page worth of content and that you still have to kind of design it and customize it. The next stage of it is where you're going to be able to be like, oh, we need a landing page for some marketing special or for some holiday or something like that, and you're not going to have to do anything except log in and say that that's what you want. It's going to actually build the entire layout for you based on everything else that's done on your site, your color scheme, your pictures, because it has all of those from Instagram and Facebook and those things. So instead of needing a designer or anything like that, you're simply going to be able to go in, say what you want, and then it's going to design, configure, and deploy the whole thing for you.
Got it. So wasn't coming here with the intention of having this conversation today, but it's something that I'm fascinated about, and because your industry, your segment of the marketing relies so much on this new age of AI. There's a lot of opportunity there, but at the same time, Do you ever ask yourself, what the fuck are we doing? So there's this podcast that I recently discovered. It's called Your Undivided Attention. Are you familiar with it?
No.
So it's hosted by the folks that are behind the Social Dilemma.
Okay.
The people that used to work with Facebook. I think it was Facebook they were working for, and kind of these whistleblowers on the future of like all these things that we think are better, like social media is great for marketing, and AI is going to change lives and make life so much easier. But what never seems to come to the surface is like, at what cost? Like, what are we sacrificing that we're not even being made aware of in terms of like invasion of privacy, and just like, these companies are really good at like understanding human behavior and manipulation and steering decision making, which is like exciting stuff for marketers. But at the same time, it's like, can we take a couple steps back and ask at what cost? Like, we're like, in terms like along that vein, like, what are the things you think we should be aware of when choosing to leverage AI for efficiency? Like, what are like, there's clear benefits there that you've spelled out, but like, how do we learn to coexist with AI and not be ruled by it? Like, are we ruining the internet?
I mean, it's debatable that hasn't already happened.
How is it already? Let's start there.
Yeah,
debatable that it's already happened. Like, where, in your mind, like, where is that debate?
Because that's going to the kind of the core way that the entire systems were developed. So if the
systems being
like
Google,
OpenAI, Google, Facebook,
TikTok,
all of them, each one of them has much more information about us than most people probably would ever want to believe. And so, on the social side, Facebook and Meta, those kinds of tools, they can pretty much know, down to where you're traveling. Same thing with Google. Anything that you have your location on, it knows the places that you go, the places you visit. It can generate a model for you very easily, just by combining all of those data points. So then you have, there's not a lot known about OpenAI in terms of where it got all of its data. There's a lot of people saying, guessing and those kinds of things, but it's not really known. And so, but we have a much better idea where Google and Meta and, those tools got them. So I think the ship has kind of sailed on a lot of those things related. There's a lot of people getting upset about privacy and those kinds of things, but all we really ended up with were disclaimers, and people just click through because they want to use all the tools.
So what are in your opinion, what are the best ways to leverage AI today in a way that is kind of coexisting with humanity and not necessarily taking control of humanity?
I mean, it's going to sound self-serving, but I think kind of the way that we're doing it, we're making it possible for our clients to be able to simply use their own content and their own data to be able to streamline their own processes. And so that being able to save them a ton of time from writing blog posts, from writing, captions for social media, those kinds of things that we're the only data that say we have access to is their menus and their reviews and their location data and those kinds of things. So which technically all of that's already public. So there's on that side, there's no privacy or anything like that it's privacy issues or anything that's digging into. So we're essentially using the various processes that simply allow you to go and grab the things that you want out of there to help automate your processes and to help streamline a lot of things that you do. In my mind, that's kind of the ideal way to use AI. But simultaneously, it's that's still kind of a little bit of a naive way of looking at it, because the ways that those kinds of tools have been created is they may have whether it's OpenAI or whatever the tools are, we don't have a ton of visibility into exactly how that happened, or exactly what they access, because they're not public.
Right. So it's safe to say like 90% of all AI that's leverageable today is relative to marketing in restaurants. I mean, and where else are you seeing it? Maybe in the training program, like training manuals, creating training like
definitely,
materials. And stuff
definitely,
like that. Where there's copy that needs to happen.
Training, copy, those kinds of things. One thing that is kind of overlooked that and may not sound like a big deal, but it actually is, at least as it relates to us and our clients, is for years, one of the really tough things when we'd get a new client would be we'd get them and they never had a photo shoot. They never had any kind of media. They simply, took some pictures on their iPhone. They'd post to Instagram and those kinds of things. So what they would have to look at on the site was not always amazing. And they didn't have the budget to do a big professional photo shoot, have it edited, those kinds of things. That's another thing so we have a very extensive AI image photo enhancing engine. And so we have clients that come to us literally nothing except very average looking Instagram feed, and after we build their website, you would think that they had all kinds of professional photos. So things like that are, which you could also put, I guess, in the marketing kind of category, since it's something promotional on the site. But really anything content related is really kind of the main thing it's being used for.
Yeah, there's this professor who is based, I want to say, I'm afraid I might click on this, some audio might play. If that's the case, I apologize. There's this professor who wrote the Power in Progress. It's called Power in Progress by Darren Acmoglu. He has this whole podcast episode with these Your Undivided Attention folks that is titled How to Make AI Work With Us and Not Against Us. I listened to it yesterday. It was really eye-opening. I want to get him on the show. He's a professor at MIT.
Very cool.
And those are the kind of people that I want to start talking to. I think the restaurant industry is so like eyes down, like focus on like what the four walls that is the restaurant industry.
100%.
And they don't see the biggest picture. And I feel like they start leveraging these tools and nothing against you, but the adjacent companies start leveraging these tools too, because they say, if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it and my product is going to become inferior.
Right.
And it's all about trying to get first access to these features and these tools at the cost of what the fuck are we doing? Like, what's the big picture here?
Yep.
And I think it's really important that we pull our heads out of our asses just for a couple seconds to see like we're like, let me climb up to the top of this tree and see where we're headed, you know, like instead of being buried in the roots.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to try to get him on the show, because I think it's important to be having these conversations.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, are we going to get to the point where like nobody even wants to be on the internet? Because I'll tell you what, man, I don't trust the internet. I have trust issues, self-proclaimed trust issues person. The whole reason why I take this approach of traveling around in my camper and using word of mouth to find my next guest is because the internet is just so full of shit today. Yep. It's so pay to play. It's so SEO driven. And now we have these robust tools like AI, again, not trying to bash the product that you created, that can just literally find holes. Oh, yeah. And if you're a whiz at figuring out the holes, you can have an inferior product with amazing marketing, and you can stay in business. I don't know if you're going to stay in business long term, because ultimately you got to be able to maintain the business.
Yes.
And no matter how good the marketing is, if you're a shitty operator, people aren't going to come back.
No.
But at the same time, I don't know. When more of that business is happening with delivery and pickup, all those other things become less important.
Yes.
Very
much so.
So
yeah, no, it's that is where some of those some of the platforms even the ones we talked about with privacy issues and those kinds of things, they do bring balance on that side. We could have the most just epic SEO campaign for somebody that has horrible service. It's even if as a short little spike, that's all that it's going to be. Google reviews, and I tell this to all of our clients, a 5-star review is worth 20 amazing blog posts.
Right.
And so if it were that easy to game, then we would be a lot wealthier. Google and these various tools like that definitely bring a lot of balance to it. So you can't manipulate, because reviews are one thing that are near impossible to manipulate, at least for very long.
Yeah.
And so that is something that it does kind of it does kind of bring a little bit of a stabilization, at least to as it relates to like local businesses.
What do you think the future of the industry looks like? What are you doing to be prepared for the future?
I think you brought up one big part of it, which is giving more control to the actual customer. So one of the biggest things is, we've had for decades, almost kind of we've had very little variance, very little change on the POS experience and those kinds of things. It's funny that one of the few restaurants that you've seen that's now not even doing very well is one of the few ones that started to introduce this, but they did it too early with, if you remember back almost like 10 years ago when like Chili's started to just leave the little POS engine at the table.
Yeah, the kiosk.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. And so that was a little bit early because the technology just really wasn't at the point yet where it helped to streamline it. But now that kind of technology is available,
right.
Customers don't want to deal with the same kinds of things that they've been having to deal with.
Like what?
Things like having to wait for a check. That's one of the top complaints that we hear from people, that they want to streamline that kind of process where they want to be able to have the ability to, if I'm at a restaurant and the restaurant's busy, why am I waiting 15 minutes to pay for my bill when I just want to go? And, those kinds of things. And if you talk with, I'm not sure, I haven't seen any or heard any episodes from you if you've talked to any like the restaurant venture capitalists lately.
Well, no, I have had some restaurant venture capitalists. I've had Savory on the show.
Yep.
I've had Andy Forstheimer on the show, who I think works with Postino.
Oh, okay.
But I did speak recently to Tony Christophilus, who scaled Salad and Go.
Yep.
Really innovative in terms of automation with that concept. He ended up departing that organization because he didn't like the direction his investors wanted to take the organization.
Yep.
Started Angie's.
Yep.
And I think in terms of what you're talking about right now, Angie's is probably the closest thing doing that here in Phoenix. And that being using more kiosk facing, removing the human element from the ordering process. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
A little bit. And it's not completely removing it. It's simply giving additional control back to the customer for them to really manage and control the experience. So, one of the things that we've heard from, and we're fully bootstrapped. We've never taken any investment, but we deal with venture capitalist groups in hospitality a decent amount. And it's interesting. One of the most common things we hear whenever we're talking with them is they say, I do not want to hear from one more slightly better POS system that does it exactly the same way as Toast and Square and all of those kinds of people. They are wanting to see kind of the future for what that process looks like. Yeah, so a big part of it's definitely, additional controls, but it's kind of beyond it's beyond like putting like little kiosks and stuff there, because then you're getting into hardware issues, you're getting all that kind of thing when there's not really any need for it when you already have your phone.
Right.
And so all of that is kind of already built. And there are people who are doing things like that at some level. But I think it's going to start to go even more and more in that direction, because it just gives customers more control and it gives them the ability to connect at different levels. So, I think that's definitely one big thing. And like it or not, I think a huge next spot, you talked about how AI is integrated mainly at a marketing level right now, as far as restaurants are concerned. That's going to start to evolve, I think, into much more of the direct customer interaction. So things like your pop menu's already doing this. When you go and you call the restaurant, you're no longer talking to an actual human being.
Right.
You're talking to an AI system. And in that sense, that kind of makes sense. The system can know.
It's a robust answering service
Yes.
that can engage you and collect data and steer you in the right direction.
Exactly. So that's, I think we're going to see a lot more of that. We're actually planning.
Slang AI is another one that's doing stuff.
Yep. We're actually planning our own version of AI answering and chat system that also incorporates online ordering, where
Yeah.
you're going to be able to do all of those things.
So I'm not gonna lie, when you were
Yep.
talking about the hardware and the automations,
Yep.
and I was trying to think of a concept that I interviewed, and their name was escaping me, but they're Honey Grow
Okay.
in Philadelphia. I don't know if you're familiar. So they're in the process of trying to educate or create habits in their consumer to go to the kiosk first.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure that I want to say that they're using Olo.
Okay. Yep.
I know Olo, or maybe they have their own. They might have their own. What's the word for unique to their brand? Custom or whatever software that they developed.
Yep.
I know Toast is creating features. I think, in my experience, it seems like Olo is doing a much better job at really focusing on the upserve
Yes.
and suggestive selling, where when I used the Toast features at Prime Grill, Angie's Prime Grill here in Phoenix, they really lost a lot of opportunities on upselling me. It was like, is this what you want? Next. I'm like, you didn't ask me to add more protein.
Right.
You didn't ask me to do all this other things I could have done to increase the bill, where I think the Honey Grow system, I think they were using Olo again, was on it. Any opportunity for an upsell, to add more, to get this or that.
Yep.
And the cool thing about these tools is they're never going to forget to upsell, where your employees might.
Yes.
Maybe it's busy or whatever.
Yep. 100%.
So you're going to get the max bill possible per transaction, which I think is one of the upsides to this.
Yep.
Obviously, the upside is fewer, with the cost of labor going up. You don't need somebody there taking the order. If the order is fucked up, the customer fucked it up. It wasn't my person who fucked it up.
Yep.
Because it was the system. So I think those, and to your point, it's why do we even have the hardware if all this is an integration with a software package?
Yep.
Were those big takeaways I took?
Oh yeah. Yep.
And then you started talking most recently, the point you were trying to make is with the AI, with the automated phone answering and stuff like that.
Yeah, just getting beyond just the marketing, the copy, and the content side, and getting more on the actual customer interaction.
How far are we away from AI gathering the data that it's getting from engaging with customers, whether through a chat bot or through a voice recognition on the phone call, where they're pulling information, where they can, based off of that conversation, whether it's via email or a chat bot, they can segment your guests?
Oh, that's already there.
Are you guys doing that?
That's a big part of why we're building that specific thing out, because we're already doing that side of it. And so the part you're talking about is actually the easy part.
Getting the information.
Yeah. Well,
You're just
and directly correlating it to who the person is, because those are the easy things. That's, mapping a phone number, an email address to, something that you already had a segmented kind of structure on.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, all of that is very, very much possible. And in that sense that it's already there. Not a ton of people are really, it hasn't really hit critical mass yet, but from a, is it possible? Yes, 100%.
Am I an anomaly where like I am so close to wanting to like not own a computer or like a smartphone?
I don't think so at all. I think I live on mine, and there's so many times where even I'm like, where I've wished for being able to go back to a much more simple kind of life and just simple way of doing things. So no, I don't. You're definitely not the only one in that boat.
It's weird because like Moore's law, right? Like it's constantly improving. I.e., technology it improves at an exponential rate.
Yes,
I think that we forget that humans don't evolve at an exponential rate, and I think there's going to be a certain point where humans are just like, one, you can't keep certain things a secret any longer. Things are going to get out and people are going to be like, well, fuck this. Like, I don't want this. And two, like, it's just going to, like, I don't think Neuralink's there yet where we're going to become like, where we're going to be absorbed by, technology and become one.
I think there's a lot higher probability we're going to end up like the Wall-E movie than we're going to end up like cyborgs. Do you remember Wall-E?
I'm hoping. I do. I'm hopeful though. Sorry, do you want to finish?
No.
I'm hopeful because I think that at the same time, information to your point is being we made the point that we're fragmenting the resources, using technology to fight back against these big organizations that really want to control everything. And it's a lot of, they want to keep information suppressed because they don't want certain information to get out because they lose control when you do that. And I think more and more people are starting to wake up and smell the roses and going, I'm happier when I don't have this stuff.
Yes.
I'm happier when I'm not getting 1,000 impressions a day. I don't, like this podcast is intentionally long because I think that we live in a world where everyone's trying to create content for algorithms, and we forgot that the end user is still a human. Yes, they are addicted to short form content, but we were also addicted to cigarettes, and most people don't do that anymore. Because you learn like this isn't good for me. I think we're hardwired for long, intimate, meaningful, heavy conversations. We enjoy that. It might not. We might not get it. It's not as profitable for the people pushing that content, because they get fewer impressions in a given time. And I think it's really important that we kind of. So I think once we realize, how important, like people don't do shit until we realize what's in it for us. So like why people are eating healthier today, because we realize it's in it for us. Like we're gonna start avoiding, I think, the internet because we're gonna realize that it's bad. So like all this effort to like get the most out of like with the marketing efforts, like we're pushing people away from the platform. That's what I think. Yeah, no, it's going to be very interesting to see the way that it all plays out, because people are not, it's kind of reached a level. It's not really possible to pull back completely. Like there's no way now that people have ChatGPT and these kinds of tools that help streamline so much of their life and their business and those kinds of things. Like, and also it's been open source through, tools like Grok and, that kind of thing. So that side of the Pandora's box is done. And so it's going to be just a matter of how people choose to, how much of their lives they choose to let it take over. Yeah. This has been a lot of fun. We are 30 minutes over our agreed upon time, so I apologize for that. Anything that has not come out of today's conversation you want to make sure it comes out? Nope. Cool. Nope. All good. I mean, you have a lot of clients. I don't want to put you on the spot, but the last question I do ask all my guests is, who do you respect and admire in the industry? Who do you think is doing it right? Who do you think is making an impact, making a change, challenging the status quo? Somebody we can all be inspired by and learn from. Who's that for you? I'm going to give somebody that is
almost kind of a hybrid. So they are our main point of contact for almost 20 restaurants, 20 of our clients or so. They also are a service provider. So they're on the restaurant side, but they also have the service that they do. And so that is a gentleman who is the CEO of it. His name, Ben Santos, is based in Miami. And he heads up the marketing for 8 Hospitality in Chicago. He also heads up the marketing for all of the Pomo restaurants and the PRG group restaurants here in Arizona. So it's a handful of ones here. And then he has, in addition, his marketing agency that does that. He has probably one of the best services I've seen for helping restaurants manage, and essentially they just kind of take over and help manage the review process. So out of everybody when you asked me that question, that was the one after I really thought through it that I definitely respect on multiple levels.
What's that company?
Review Brew AI is the review company. And then he has the agency as well, and
Ace Hospitality, Pomo.
Eight Hospitality.
I ate that and it was yummy.
Yep.
8 Hospitality, Pomo, PRG Group.
Yep.
And Review Brew.
Yep.
Awesome. And that's Ben Santos.
Yep. And I'll give you his contact.
Is he based
info.
here in Phoenix?
He's based in Miami, but he bounces between all of them.
Cool.
Yep.
I'll look up Ben. I'm kind of asking you. And how can we connect with you if we really, this is a lot of information dropped on you today. A reminder, we did record a video segment to this. So if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, head over to YouTube/Restaurant Unstoppable Podcast. I'm pretty sure is the link. Just search Restaurant Podcast on YouTube. You'll find it. And this episode might be a little easier to digest if you have not subscribed. What are you waiting for? How can we connect with you?
Just go to DashTrack.com.
Beautiful. That's it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure is mine. This is when I say there is no questioning. You are unstoppable.